Hi, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to learn more about Contentstack today. We are super excited to have you join us. My name is Caitlin Bishop. I am your account executive. I'm based out of Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm going to share a little bit more information on Contentstack. I'm joined today by the amazing Adam, and he is based out of Denver, Colorado. He will be your technical guru and will be able to lead the session today from a platform. He can also answer any of your technical questions as well. As I'm going through today's session, just feel free to go ahead and drop some of your questions into the chat, and we can make sure we answer them as we go. Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump in. So why are we all here today? It's really all about the kinds of customers that we all are and the kinds of customers that you all have. As you've probably seen, digital interactions are far surpassing any other form of connection with brands these days. And from a super high level view, we're seeing that companies are just having a hard time just keeping up with this digital first economy. In fact, 70% of customers today interact with brands through digital means first. So we really need to make sure that companies are prepared for creating the best digital experiences to to engage their customers and have them just continually coming back. And with creating these awesome digital experiences comes with creating personalized experiences for our customers. And because customers are people and they want these digital experiences to be personal, this has a humongous impact on the business. Actually, 76% of consumers tell us that they are more likely to purchase from brands that create personalized experiences and are able to deliver content to all their digital channels at the right time and at the right place. But from what we're learning from our existing customers and what we're hearing from brands like yourself is that sometimes your current technology stack and your team just may be experiencing some challenges that might just be holding them back. And it might be making it harder for them to engage with their customers. So you all might be feeling some of these pain points today. But some of these pain points could be that the old technology stack is just holding them back. It could be that this old technology stack is having their dev teams work, multiple cycles just to make the technology work. Or maybe it's even the small tasks are becoming just extremely time consuming and everything is just super, super manual. All these problems are just making brands just feel overwhelmed, and they might not know where to start or where to really improve their digital journey. And if you're feeling this, you're definitely not alone. One great example of this is Levi's. You probably already are familiar with Levi's. Some of you might even be wearing some Levi's jeans as we speak, but they are an American clothing company best known for their jeans. And Levi's has a large focus on just creating awesome customer experiences. And they knew with their legacy technology stack that it was just really holding them back from creating those really strong stories and being able to engage with their customers at every digital touch point at the right time. So they turned to us and they felt comfortable and confident to trust us as our digital experiences to help adopt a solution that proved worth the education, but then also the investment. And with this investment, they realized a 29% increase in online revenue. They're able to support more countries, but then overall, they were able to just engage better with their customers. And brands like the Miami Heat, like MongoDB, like Iceland Air, and many others have heard buzzwords like headless. They've heard composable, they've heard mock. And I'm going to guess that most of the folks on this call today, you guys have probably heard those buzzwords as well. And these companies, they knew they needed to do something. They just didn't know how, or they didn't really know where to even start. And they didn't go all in without knowing that their partner who understands them and their challenges and was able to really prove true care throughout the whole entire evaluation. So in turn, these brands ended up trusting Contentstack and really being able to turn to us because we do have a no-fail policy. And this has resulted in having a 98% customer retention rate, and we do actually have a 97% willingness to recommend. And truly, we aren't just a technology, we're really a partner for our customers. And brands that have evaluated us have interest in telling more stories and can really do so by publishing faster. They want to research more customers and new geos and through new experiences. And this effort now is so they can really future-proof their digital investment and be able to deliver personalized stories that are tangible with financial impact along the way. So whether you're like Levi's, which I just spoke about, really ready for a full digital transformation, or maybe you're really like HP, and we have a lot of customers who are like HP. They came to us with a critical business initiative that they needed to jumpstart, something that they needed to move fast on, and in particular, faster than what they were able to support with their current systems. So they chose us for this new initiative, and they saw a ton of success. And then they chose to invest further with us as a full replacement strategy for their legacy monolithic solution. And now with this initiative, they become the highest growth initiative in HP history, and they're able to launch that all within 50 days. So both Levi's and HP, they had requirements which were one, having a technology that was second to none. Two, having a company with very, very strong expertise that was going to be able to provide them with a ton of support. And three, which is really having proven economics. And this has become what a vast majority of brands that evaluate us are really after. And it's not just HP and Levi's who had these requirements and trusted Contentstack, it's all of these brands on the screen that you see. And as you can tell, you're in a really, you're alongside a ton of outstanding companies with, having the #1 toy manufacturer, Mattel, having the #1 gaming company, Riot Games, or the #1 golf equipment company, Callaway. And really just a list goes on and on. And all these brands and these customers of ours recognize that a change is needed to be made. And yes, change is definitely hard and it can be a little bit scary, but having someone that is ready for that change, like you all who joined us today, or having a team of people who is ready for that change, brands have decided to put their trust into Contentstack to really be able to enhance and transform and augment their digital journey. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Adam to actually show you how Contentstack works.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Adam Smith. I'm a solutions architect here at Contentstack. I'm your technical resource, and I'll be kind of walking you through part of the product today. Any questions you might have, please feel free to raise your hand. I'd like to make this interactive if possible. So here we are. So today we're going to be taking a look at a site. It's called Manta Shape. And basically what we're looking at, right, is an e-commerce site designed for conversions and for, marketing excellence, right? So here's our front page, and let's go in and take a look at making some changes to content. So if we go here, now we're taking a look within Contentstack at really that editing interface, right? For, in this example, the homepage. And we've got some things that we've set up, things like title, we've got our, promo bars, we've got all of the different elements, right, that are going to make up this particular site. And one of the things, as a marketer, right, as I'm starting to work on this site, let's take a look at what this is actually going to look like in the real world, right? So one of the things with Contentstack is we have this ability to really take a look in real time at exactly what this is going to look like as we work on the site. So let's go to live preview. We'll open that up, and now you can see we've got really this site on the right-hand side. We can go in, take a look at things in like a mobile responsive, right? If we want to see what this looks like for our mobile visitors, or let's go on and take a look at this for desktop users, right? And one of the things with Contentstack is we have this ability to have really very quick changes and having the ability to go in and have, we call them modular blocks, right? So if I take a look here, you can see on the left-hand side, right, we have all of these different things that are making up this particular experience for our site visitors. We've got things like our editor's pick, we've got our call to action, we've got some image cards, things like that, right? And if we want to go in and make changes to these, it's as easy as just going in, opening this up, and now you can see these are all of the things that are open for me to work on this particular piece of content, right? So I've got things such as my title, I've got my paragraph here, etc. And let's say I want to change this, and maybe we'll have this be Caitlin's top fall picks. You can see I'm going to make some changes here. And right on the right-hand side here, you can see that now we have, as I'm working on this, right, I can see exactly what this is going to look like in real time, in real context, right? So maybe I want to change this over here to our world-class fashionista, Caitlin, right? So now we've got, we've made some changes to this particular, part of this site, But the cool thing, right, is because we've really separated out our content from really the context or the marketing message that we're going to use it in, we have the ability to go in and maybe we want to change it so we've got the call to action above the fold, right? We want to make this something that is really compelling. So we'll take this call to action, maybe we'll move it up here, right? And you can see right here on the right-hand side, we've now kind of made those changes to that particular part of the site. And the cool thing here, right, is that because we totally separate out your content from that marketing message, you have really unlimited flexibility in terms of what that's going to look like going forward, right? And you can use this in any context, whether it's an application, whether it's your website, email campaigns, things like that. So we've made some changes to this content. Now let's go in and let's take a look at kind of what that's going to look like from a workflow standpoint. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go back into this this editor's pick, and I'm just going to add a little comment here, right? So we'll go in here, and I'll just say, made some changes to highlight Caitlin for this new campaign. So now I'll add that right on to the comments for this particular piece of content, right? And now I can go in and let's say we want to add this to a workflow. This is something that, when you take a look at what's going to happen with this content, we have this ability to go in and really create different workflow experiences and make sure that this content is going to be, going through our own particular workflow here internally, right? So if I go in, maybe we want to change this and I want to maybe have this go to review. And I can go in and say, hey, you know what? We want to have this campaign go live next week. So let's make sure that we get this reviewed on Monday, right? And I can, of course, go in and I can assign this to specific users. I can send this to my marketing team, for example, and I'll just go in here, take a look, take a peek, making some marketing changes. And now that I've updated that, right, we've now sent this out into our, our own internal process, right, in terms of what that's going to look like and taking a look at it from our user standpoint. So from here, we've made some changes to this content. Maybe now we want to maybe send this out to the world, right? So we have this ability to go in and let's go in and let's publish this out. Now, within Contentstack, we have this this unique ability, right, to go in and create very specific publication targets. So maybe your developer team wants to take a look at things, or maybe your marketing team wants to do a preview. We can go in and we can select exactly where this content is going to go. And of course, the different languages that we have for this content. So maybe I want to go in, I'm going to send it out to our production, and let's send this out to all languages, right? So now I go in and we've now sent this out to the rest. We've sent this out to our site. Now from here, we can also go in and take a look at things like, okay, how is this content kind of changed over time, right? We have this ability to go in and take a look at, for example, all of these different versions, right? So we can see exactly how this has changed over time. Maybe I want to go in and take a look at how this has changed, right, between, just a few minutes ago and now. I can go right in here. I can take a look, and I can also go in and say, you know what, let's go in and let's compare exactly how this content has changed, right? So you can see, for example, here, we've now gone in and we can see really quickly exactly what has changed. So here, for example, we've gone from Abby's top summer picks to fall into September with our latest autumnal fashions with Caitlin, right? And the cool thing here is that we always keep a track of all the changes that have happened to the content. So even going all the way back to my first version when we first launched my website, I can go in and really take a look at exactly what's changed here. Now from here, we also have the ability, right, to go in and, as I pointed out earlier, I put some comments in here, right? So one of the cool things, I can go and I can see exactly how, what are things that I want to talk about, right, in terms of this campaign and how this has changed. So here you can see we have all of these discussion panels here, and I've tagged a couple of users on here, but you can see, right, I've got my, this made some changes to highlight Caitlin for this new campaign. And if I click on that, it's going to bring me right here to that piece of content, and it's going to show me exactly the content and the context in terms of how we have made changes to that content. So that's taking a look really at fundamentally working on specific pieces of content. The couple of other things here too, right, is we also have the ability to go in and do things such as design system changes. So maybe you want to go in and have the ability to have your marketing users make changes to design as well as content. So if I go back over here and I take a look, let's dive into, for example, let's take a look at this image card here, right? We have all of these images that are coming in here from our own asset management, but I can also go in and I can take a look at things like, okay, what is this this text here, right? So here we have this returns and exchanges. And if we kind of take a look down here, right, we have this down here in terms of, these are our returns and exchanges. The nice thing though is that we also have the ability to go in and make changes to really what is the design going to look like on the front end. And the cool thing here is that, for example, we've got things like our image grid columns. We can select how many images we want. We can select our text alignment. So maybe we want to go from centered to a left hand, right? I can go right here, make those changes, and they're going to go live on the site. And the cool thing here is that making these changes within Contentstack really separates that out so that no matter what context or no matter what channel, right, you're using this content in, we can make those changes very quickly.
And then, Adam, just one question that we got in the chat. Someone
Sure.
was wondering if you're able to comment on the accessibility of the front end code generated by Contentstack out of the box. They are very focused on accessibility and usability for users with disability concerns such as, screen readers, mobility, etc.
Great question. So the way that Contentstack really stores your content is going to make it extremely easy to have things like WCAG or all of your accessibility, because what we're doing is we're basically totally separating out your content from your presentation. So things like, let's take a look at this paragraph, for example, right? We're just storing this as text. So when you take a look at your front end code and you start to use this content, there's really nothing that's coming along in terms of any sort of extra extraneous markup or things like that. So we're really just taking a look at the exact content here. When you take a look at accessibility, right, you can go in and you can do things such as making sure that images have a caption, for example. You can go in and create rules, right, that are going to make it so that all of your content is accessible. Does that answer that question?
Yep.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
No problem. So we've taken a look at some content here, and now let's go in and let's kind of take a look at something in terms of really what all of this content means, right? So if I go in here, I can take a look at, for example, all of my content. We'll just go ahead and save this. And this is going to now show me all of my, all the content that I have as part of my website, right? So in this particular example, it's going to show me things like, okay, where are my banners? What are the versions? Where are these looking at in terms of our workflow and the status of that, right? And I can go in, of course, and make changes to, either individual pieces of content, or I can go in and really dive in and, make changes to entire campaigns from here as well. So one thing that we hear a lot, right, in terms of making these composable experiences is, what does this look like in terms of integrating with other products, right, that are part of maybe your ecosystem, whether it's a search engine, whether it is your development experience and things like that. And one of the things that we've kind of created here, right, is this notion of, we call it Automation Hub. And what Automation Hub does is it allows me to go in and really create these interactions and these automations between Contentstack and of course other things within my ecosystem. So here, for example, right, what we've done is I've kind of created this little entry, right, that's going to go in and I can say, okay, when things are changed within Contentstack, let's go in and let's actually go out to Slack, right? And the cool thing here is that with Automation Hub, I can say, when things happen with my content, when things happen with my marketing, let's go in and let's actually change things. Let's reach out to other systems, right? And I can go in, for example, here, I've got it so that we're going out to Slack and we're saying, hey, let's let the marketing team know that we've made some changes to content. The cool thing here too is that I can go in as part of really our marketplace ecosystem and I can take a look at all of these different applications. So let's say, for example, you're using BigCommerce, right? And we want to, once we've made a new marketing campaign, we want to launch this out and maybe add some products, right? We can go in here and this is going to allow us, right, to go in and say, for example, let's go into BigCommerce and we can go and get product details and add those to a particular marketing campaign, for example. And the cool thing here, right, is that we're really going in and we're creating all of these interactions and all of these integrations, and they're going to run behind the scenes to make it even easier, right, for you to go in and make sure that your marketing stack is working properly. Caitlin, do you have any questions in the
Yeah, I
Q&A?
was just about to stop you. One more question. Does it support custom connectors?
Absolutely. In terms of, one of the things with Contentstack is this whole notion of extensibility, right? So we have all of these different automations and all of these different, marketplace applications that have been built. But the cool thing, right, is whether it is things that are built from our technology partners or things that you want to create yourself, they're all it's all available. So we have this whole notion of a developer hub. So you can go right in, you can create your own custom connectors. You can even put in things like your own code blocks, right? If you want to, host an application with us, those are things you can handle here too. Any other questions, Caitlin?
That's it at this time.
Cool. So we've kind of taken a look at, working with content and kind of, publishing it out and Automation Hub. Actually kind of want to open it up if possible, right? Is there anything in terms of folks that are here, is there anything specific that people want to take a look at or some questions that you might have?
There is one question if there is any native personalization capabilities.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in this particular site, one of the things that we're doing is we're creating these different personalization banners, right? So if we take a look here, we have this women's accessories for winter. And the way that we're handling this in this particular example is we're using a technology called Uniform, right? So I can go in and take a look here. If we see this hero banner, we have 3 different versions, right? We've got our women's accessories for winter, we've got our men's winter collection, and then we've got kind of our general catch-all, right? In this particular example, we're using Uniform. There is the ability, of course, to go in and create personalization based upon, audiences and, really campaigns and things like that as well. And the nice thing here is that because we have, these 3 different versions, we're going to go in and we're going to show the exact one for that particular audience, right? So we're using Uniform in this particular example, one of our technology partners. But there's some interesting ways you can do that as well, right? When it comes to native as well.
There aren't any other questions right now, Adam.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to dive in real quick then while we're talking about personalization. And I think this is actually a good jumping off point to talk about, we've shown Automation Hub in terms of how you can integrate with other products, but let's actually dive into this, this particular example, right? And here, we've got this women's accessories for winter. And the reason I want to kind of point this out is while we're talking about personalization, one of the really cool things with Contentstack is you have the ability to integrate with, whether it's our technology partners or connectors that you've built yourself. And in this particular example, we're actually pulling in the personalization criteria directly from Uniform, right? So I can go in and say, okay, instead of kind of doing the swivel chairs of diving into, different products, I can say, you know what, let's go in and let's actually take a look at exactly what this is going to look like. And you can see here, we're actually bringing in all of our intents and all of our personalization scores from our uniform, right, into this environment. So I can just say, hey, you know what, let's go in, let's maybe make some changes. Maybe I want this to be, targeted for women audiences. I can go right here, add those criteria, and instead of kind of diving back and forth between different products, it's all integrated, very elegantly here within Contentstack. And we've also, while we're here, another thing I want to point out is we have the notion of an asset management, right? So I can go in here, we're using a background image. And if I dive right in, I can take a look at, exactly what that image is, or I can say, you know what, let's go in and see exactly what this image is. And also I can see what campaigns I'm using this in, right? So I can say, okay, here's my image. We're using this for, some particular campaigns. And you can see here, we're using it for a few different, international locations, right? And I can go right in and see exactly, when it's been created. I can make changes to it. I can replace this, right? And it lets me kind of really dive in and do this here. The other cool thing is that, much like the personalization, if I want to go in and grab, images from another asset management, so I can go in and I can add those in as well. Everything's very nicely integrated.
Hey Adam, do you mind going over, someone was hoping to get an overview of user management, roles, etc.
Sure, let's do it. So all of that's going to be handled. This is kind of Contentstack 201, and I love it. So this is going to be handled through our settings, right? So if I dive in here, this is where I can take a look at things like, okay, what are our users and roles? What are our different languages and locales? And maybe I want to create a development token, right, for one of our agencies. So let's just go right into users and roles. And here we can take a look, right? And I can say, okay, these are our different users. We've only got a few here. But I can also dive in, and now we have the ability to go in and have roles, right? So the cool thing with roles is that when you create one, you can then assign them to different users. So let's just go in, let's create a new role, and we'll do Team Caitlin. Now, one of the things within Contentstack is that we really start off with essentially a zero trust policy, right? So taking a look at, this new role I've created, we really haven't, there's nothing that this user can do right now. But of course, I can go in and do things like, okay, let's maybe make it so that this user can go in and, maybe we want them to work on some very specific content. So I can dive right in and let's say, you know what, let's make it so that these folks can work on our banner collection. Maybe we want them to work on our, PDPs and PLPs. I can add those in. And you can see here now, we've really created this role that's saying, okay, this particular type of user can go in and they can, work on everything in terms of our banner collection, our product listing page, and our detail page. We can also go and maybe we don't want them to have the ability to delete. So let's maybe add that out, and maybe we don't want them to be able to publish, right? So I can go in, I can really start to get super granular in terms of exactly, what that user is able to do. And the other thing here, right, is I have the ability, as I kind of pointed out earlier, we have this notion of publication targets. So here, for example, we've got three. We've got our local for our developers, we've got our preview environment and production. Maybe I don't want these folks to be able to publish out to production. So I can just go in and say, let's make it so they can work on local and preview. And of course, we can also go in and I can say, all right, what are the specific languages, locales, marketplaces, right, that this user is able, that these types of users are able to work on. So now I'll just go in, I'll save that. We've got Team Caitlin ready to go. Any other questions? I know we're coming up on the half hour.
No other questions right now. And Adam, do you want to maybe just wrap it up with anything else, and then we can kind of wrap it up over here.
No, this is great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for taking the time today. If you do have any additional questions, Adam and I would be happy to jump on another call, go over any additional resources as well. Just feel free to reach out to us, but have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.